Hello guys, today I wanted to talk about a spiritual warfare. I was going through 2 Samuel 22 and God really exposed to me through the language David is using, the specific words and adjectives and verbs he's using. He really exposed to me the intensity of the battle that we're in, and of course for David he was addressing it towards his personal enemies. But as I was reading the word, I believe God was really teaching me regarding our battle as Christians against the world, against the devil, and against our own flesh. And so, specific words like in verse 35, he says, He trains my hands for battle. He strengthens my arm to draw a bronze bow. He says in verse 38, I chased my enemies and destroyed them. I did not stop until they were conquered. I consumed them. I struck them down so they did not get up. They fell beneath my feet. And I don't know why, but when I read that, that really reminded me of when he fought Goliath. Or that's the way I think you pronounce it in English. But I don't know why it really reminds me of it, especially because I if I'm not wrong, I believe he put his foot on his neck, if I'm not wrong, or his chest, something like that. I don't know. And then he took his sword and cut the head off, I think. But I don't know why it really reminded me of that. And we all know Goliath for his size and his strength, right? And so again, moving on, 44, he says, you gave me victory over my accusers. And then in verse 49 at the end, he says, you saved me from my violent opponents. And so all these different adjectives like violent and like accusers, and like we all know the Bible calls the devil like the accuser. He accuses us. He puts he accuses us before the throne of God and everything. And then for violent opponents, it's like he's going against us with all he's got. And he doesn't have mercy. He doesn't care. He's going against us with everything he has because he knows he doesn't have much time. And one of the verses that caught my attention was conquered. So I looked it up. I knew what you mean, but I looked it up because sometimes when you look things up, it just gives you a different insight. It's just, I don't know, there's something about the word that you didn't realize that it makes so much sense when it's in a biblical context. And so it said to take or acquire by force of arms to win a war. And so clearly there is this violent and not passive at all tactic, like all these, like David had to be really strong. He had to be constantly alert and ready for battle. And I feel like as Christians, that's how we should be. We should be constantly dressed with the armor of God. We should be constantly taking the weapons that God has given us, which are not of this world. And they have the power to bring down strongholds, I think it says in the Bible. And so that really caught my attention because I feel sometimes we are too passive about our warfare. And we just think that maybe we think like, oh, everything is not the devil, or we assume everything is the devil. And I just feel like we have to have a balance, but that the battle is real, there's no doubt about it. And so another verb that caught my attention was chased. To chase, like, it's just like this constant running after him until I get the victory. And that's how we should see our spiritual warfare. This is a constant battle that we should not ever stop or let our guard down, which I'm sometimes guilty of doing. And another one that caught my attention was to destroy. Like, it's just like this completely, like, you completely overwhelm the enemy. Like, you defeat them. You have complete victory over them. And so just the verbs that, if we look at those few verses, the Bible calls it a battle, like we got in verse 35. And it describes our enemy as violent opponents and as accusers. And then it says that we should crush them. There's different verses, there's different words that you'll see throughout the chapter. Crush, destroy, consume, struck down, trample. And so all these verses are clearly showing that we have to be alert, constantly chasing, constantly fighting. And it's a violent fight. It's not a passive. It's not something that we should be like, oh, it's okay, whatever. Because this is our soul that is in danger, if that makes sense. And so I guess what I wanted to do with this video was to awaken you guys, like myself, to awaken the people of God to realize that we are in a spiritual battle and things are just gonna get worse. We're in the end times, and as you read in the Bible, things are just gonna get worse, and we need to be alert. And I realized that I had been too passive about the enemy strategies and schemes. In fact, in Job 5:12, the Bible says that the Lord frustrates the plans of schemers, so the work of their hands will not succeed. And in Ephesians 6, devil is called a schemer. So we have victory already through Christ. In Romans 8:34, I think, or 37, it said, but like I feel like I've been fighting for so long from the place of like a victim, like, oh well, like I don't feel like this, or I've been attacked with this, and you just kind of stay mentally, you just focus at that, and you don't realize the reason why I'm feeling this way, it's an attack. That should encourage us and be like, why is he attacking me? Clearly there's something that God has for me he doesn't want me to get. There's something God is calling me to he doesn't want me to get, right? And so I just feel like I have definitely fallen into this, and I've been too passive about my fight, and it gets to the point where it can be really overwhelming and frustrating. Whereas, for example, like before, like for so many years I've been fed with lies of the enemies, and for so long I believed them because I thought they were with fear, right? And I thought that fear was just like a thing I struggle with, whereas I didn't know that fear was an actual weapon of the enemy to stop me from doing what I had to do. And for you that you're really listening, it could be so obvious, but to me it wasn't. And so for so long I was like, it's okay, like that's something I struggle with, it's just fear. But I didn't realize that no, this is a weapon that the devil is throwing at me. And for so long I believed all those lies that came because of fear, and I believed them for so long. I genuinely believed them as if they were truth. And now that I'm realizing they weren't, and I'm trying to use the word, the absolute truth, to defeat those lies, it genuinely feels like trying to leave a prison. Is the hardest thing I've ever experienced. To try to fight against my own flesh now that God is calling me to more. It's so hard. And it's just, you feel like Paul in Romans 7. It's like, what is wrong with me? You know, what am I doing? And sometimes we can just be too passive. And I know it's hard, because as strong as the weapons and the attacks of the enemy are, and as hard as the battle against our flesh is, we still have victory. And it's really easy for me to speak this, but it's harder to do it. And God has been dealing with me for months, like, get going, basically, like, get up and fight it. And I guess I wanted to encourage you guys, and in doing this, I'm encouraging myself and speaking to myself. I want to live what I believe and practice what I preach. So everything I put out, I'm living right now. And this is a season of growth that God is literally, like, doing so much. And it's hard. I genuinely feel very discouraged to even keep going in my ministry, like keep putting out videos and everything. But I was like, look, I don't know what is going on. This battle is so hard, but I'm going to use this time, and I'm going to use it for your glory. And what I'm posting now, I'm living it. I'm going through it. And I wanted to encourage you. I thought it was an amazing lesson. And you know what's more amazing is that the Lord revealed all of this to me a day that I was so tired. And I know that's kind of nonsense, but I was so tired that day. So when I was reading this chapter, the only thing I wanted to do was finish reading it and move on so I can go to sleep. But God is so merciful that he showed me, he gave me the eyes and the wisdom to spot these words, to spot these things. And I was like, ooh, there's so much in here. And I actually ended up staying there for like over an hour or so, trying to figure out these things. But all I wanted at this time was just finish reading it and then go to bed. And to me, that meant a lot. To me, it meant a lot, because that was a day that I did not want to really spend time with my Bible. I was tired, really, really tired. But I'm so thankful that God did that. And so, to me, that meant so much. And just, guys, an encouragement that this battle, it's hard. It is hard, I know. But we need to get up. And I'm honestly saying this, and it's cost, like, it's effort. It feels like a rock. It feels like lifting a rock. It's really tough. It really is. And I sometimes don't even know how. I wonder, am I ever gonna leave your plans for me? Because the battle genuinely, it's so hard. And I didn't realize the hardest battle is not against the devil, it's actually against your own self. I didn't realize how much of an enemy my own self, my own man, is to myself, if that makes any sense. And that is the hardest battle. That genuinely is the hardest battle. Because I've had so many attacks of the enemy that by the grace of God I've been able to get up. But now that I'm genuinely having to overcome my own self, it's genuinely, guys, the hardest battle I've ever faced. One of them anyway, spiritually speaking. So I just wanted to encourage you guys, and with this encourage myself and speak to myself, that we need to get our weapons, the weapons God has given us: prayer, fasting, studying the Bible, worship. All these weapons have been given to us. And let's not forget, we're not fighting against people, we're fighting against the devil, against the principalities and authorities. And our weapons are not of this world. And so we need to also remember that we're not fighting from a place of am I gonna win, of victim as a victim, but we are fighting from a place of victory. Jesus has the victory. He won it already. He has it. We just fight from that place, right? But it's just like, it's really hard. But guys, Christ is with us. And as sometimes that feels like he's not, he still is. And this is really hard. Like, I'm genuinely, guys, talking to you about this, and I'm realizing how hard it is, because I've been living this for months and months. And we just have to get up. We have to get up. We have to fight and give it our all, because the devil is going against us with all he's got. He has no time. He does not care. He's going at us. And so we need to chase him constantly, daily, with our weapons. No relax, no break, you know. So guys, I just hope this blesses you, and hope this teaches you something, and hopefully God spoke to you as he spoke to me. So yeah guys, I just give the glory to God, because he's the one that placed me here. So God bless you.